Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today I am out in the hottest part of the day, which is around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I want to show you guys what my garden looks like when it's this hot. We are at not a typical October at all. It's going to be up to 104 degrees today, which is crazy, but we're still able to grow some things because the nights are really cool. So I want to show you guys what I'm doing to kind of get in that middle ground of being able to have stuff in the garden and not let it burn up. So one of the things I talked about in some of my recent videos is creating microclimates. And right now, as you can see, my garden is completely underneath shade cloth. There's like a tree bouncing. But I do have a couple of microclimates which are cooler by things like umbrellas, which is right above me, and also just where the sun is at in my garden and what's casting shade on what. So I'm able to plant certain things just in those little nooks and crannies, and that's what I'm encouraging you guys to do, is find your microclimates and plant what you can in those microclimates, because it does make a difference. It's about 10 degrees cooler in some of my microclimates that I have created. So my herb bed is one of those microclimates, and I have some of the hardier herbs out right now. As you can see, my marjoram and my oregano are in the front because those can survive a little bit more of the sun better. So in this bed, the sun hits the front and the very back. So in the middle, I have rosemary, which also gets some sun, but not as much. And then I have the sage. Now the sage can do really well in the heat as long as it's covered up and it's not getting direct sun. So as long as you have that covered up, it can kind of survive wherever you have it, which you can see it looks good in the middle and it also looks good in the end. The parsley, next year I will probably rotate the parsley and the rosemary, because the rosemary can also handle a little bit more sun. Now, a lesson learned with that bed is one of the things I probably won't use earlier on is the thyme, because I planted the thyme when it was pretty big and it was doing well, and then we used the thyme to cook with. Well, the thyme isn't really okay with the 100+ degrees, so it wasn't growing as fast, and then it just kind of, the sun just did not like it, so it's having a harder time. But as the nights get cooler and the days get cooler and cooler, which we will be hopefully in mid-90s by the end of this week, then I'm hoping that will grow back. Now the microclimate in my brassica bed is doing really well, guys. So what I have is I have a shade cloth, and then I also have an umbrella that's casting shade on it. Now it's not getting as much growth quickly as I would like for it to be because it has so much shade on it, but it is surviving to where it's not dying and it's not getting attacked by bugs, and it's also not getting sun skull. So my cabbages and my kales and my basil and even this tomato plant are doing really well just in this microclimate. Now the one thing I'm really happy about my brassica bed is that, granted, they're not getting as much sun as they need to grow quickly, so they're growing at a lot slower rate, but they are still kind of holding up in these really hot temperatures in the middle of the day. Now by later, maybe about like 2 or 3 o'clock, when it is 104, this area is going to be completely in shade, so there's not going to even be sun on this side of my garden, which is why most of the things are planted along this wall. It gets morning sun and then afternoon shade, so that's really going to help protect it. But one of the things that you can notice that there's something going wrong is if you're getting a lot of bug damage, which I'm not seeing any bug damage in this bed. But if I were to have a lot of bug damage, that would let me know that the plants themselves were unhappy and not wanting to live anymore. So that's how I know my microclimate is doing well in there. So hopefully in a couple of months or maybe a couple of weeks, when I can just take all the shade cloth off and let them get the direct sun, and the sun is only about 70 degrees, maybe 80 degrees, then this bed will grow a lot quicker. And then that also means that I'll probably be able to plant cabbage again, and my kale will go all the way through, but my cabbage will probably head up probably by hopefully about December, and then I can plant it again and have it again for the spring. So I'm really excited about that. So not much is surviving on this side of my garden, but this midget cantaloupe, if you guys will notice that the roots are in shade. So the pot is in shade, and that is provided by another umbrella that I have here. So the roots are in shade, but the actual plant itself is not. So probably around when the garden is a full 104 degrees, there's going to be a lot more shade and shadows cast in my garden, to where it's going to cover up most of the things that are in there. But that midget cantaloupe can take higher temperatures. So right now it's about 95 degrees, and as you can see, it's not even really wilted or anything like that, versus some of the other plants that are like, it's 95 degrees, I'm done. And also the cucumber on this side of the bed this side of my garden is alive, but the one on this side got attacked by spider mites. Difference being is that they're not in microclimates that are going to help them grow. But the midget cantaloupe is a summer vegetable. It's used to growing in hotter heats, but you do want to protect the roots a little bit to where they're not cooking in that pot. It's in a black pot, and I don't want them to burn up. So one of the ways to protect it is to shade half the plant and then let the other half plant just kind of do what it does and live in the sun. Now when it is like 106 or 107, that's when that plant is wilted and very unhappy. But right now, being 97 degrees, it's fine. So I know it's super hot outside, guys, but you guys can still start getting little things into your garden, because your garden is cooling down enough for all of you desert gardeners to where your plants can survive as long as you have them in the right spots. Now, I've been testing out a lot of things in my garden because I want to try and have as many vegetables as soon as possible. And normally it's not this hot, but you know, you have to work with what you have. So we're just gonna test them out, put them where we can, and then just replant anything that we can't. Because the nice part about it being super hot right now is that the summer is going on a little bit longer, so the cucumbers that I lost, I'm going to easily just replant, and hopefully they'll grow until December, and my tomatoes will grow until December and January, and it'll be happy. The whole garden will be happy and excited. So don't forget, grow yourselves a garden, guys, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye, guys.